Call the meeting to order, 5:35. Sorry for my tardiness. It's parent-student conference. Any adjustments to the agenda? Okay. Approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of October 26th.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 26th as presented. Unless there's any further discussion. All in favor? Aye. All right. Application for wastewater connection and allocation. Mark Ziter, 37 Signal Pine Road.
So Mark has come in and requested to connect to the wastewater, municipal wastewater system. And right now that line doesn't go up to his property. So in doing some research, I found that Margaret Tarmy, which is a property down below them, at one time it was in 19, let's see, here.
I think it was 2001.
I mean,
2002, whatever.
She came to the board, asked for a connection to the system. And it was clear to me, reading the minutes at that time, that there was a discussion with everybody, I think you were involved in the discussion, that the condition of her approval to connect was that she put in a 6-inch line where it travels diagonally under the pavement. I'll show you the drawing in a minute. So that if in the future someone wanted to connect, they'd have to dig the road back up.
Yeah.
So it was clear that, you know, even then there was an intention of possibly other connections being made. So I've talked to Chris Hayes. He said that as far as capacity, we're fine. They're fine with the hookup. It's not going to bother our system. It's just really the logistics of getting the line in.
From there.
Yeah.
You're the next house up on the left, is that correct?
Yeah, so here's this is kind of the tax map.
So I measured it the other day, and there's a barbed wire fence that is 20 feet from the center of the road. So the right-of-way goes right up to that barbed wire fence, and we're going to be putting it on the town right-of-way side of the fence.
Yeah.
So you'd basically go down and follow the road down to
Well,
across from...
Here, and then the line goes up, I think, here. And then he's looking to cross right about here and come up. It's not exact, it's better on here.
Yeah. So where does it go, into Tarmy's on the lower end of the
So
here's Margaret's house. Right here is where they fork.
Mm-hmm.
It's right, sort of like right in front of where the house is. The pavement comes up to about here. So when we come down, we're going to be cutting a little bit of pavement, so we'll have to replace that. But this is all right in the town right away here, because the property line follows that barbed wire fence.
And this is, as I recall, this is Margaret Tarmy's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody different now, but.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a musician. And I've spoken, originally we were thinking about coming right straight through his property, and I asked him about it, he was fine with that, so clearly he doesn't really care whether we dig it in front of his property, he didn't care if I dug through his property.
So there were a couple of things that I told Mark the other day, that we needed a drawing that really showed us the lines where the right-of-way was. Like he said, he measured already, but to be sure that where the line is going to be placed, it's within our right-of-way, because we need to do an easement for him to be able to do that.
Otherwise, or even if it's in the right-of-way?
Well, it depends on who. The reason we need to know is he has to have an easement no matter what, but if some of it goes on the private property, he needs an easement from them. And he also, as well as a I don't think that's gonna be the case. Like he said, he measured it and he thinks he's within the town right of way, so it would be an easement from us to install, maintain
Within the
within our
right
right
of
of way.
Okay, and if we installed that, we would assume maintenance, is that correct or not?
Well, I'm gonna install it, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, you're,
Yeah, he's
okay.
going to install it and he, is aware that the future maintenance and the maintenance of that line is his. Which is the same thing, I looked another one up we did on High Low Biddy Road at one time, which is exactly what they did there, was. the
And you're
line.
thinking 6-inch all the way right into the house, is that
Yes.
the plan? Yeah.
So the two things that I told him I needed that drawing that showed me the right of way. I have a call into our attorney to see if he could draw up an easement, but that he would, pay for that way we know what the language is and there's not two sets of lawyers going back and forth. It's pretty standard language. And, so a condition is the easement and then another condition is putting everything back to the way it is, especially if we're tearing up a
See that?
little bit of pavement.
And Michael Marquez spoke with someone at the state to make sure that the line that currently comes up is meeting their standards. So that, it doesn't need to be upgraded, they said it was fine.
And I'm assuming you don't need a 6-inch line to the house, is that?
Right, originally I told Michael to do a 3-inch line, and I saw the drawings of the 6. I was gonna try to find out why he wanted to go with a 6.
Yeah.
I know that across the way, Cynthia and
Rod, yeah.
I know their system isn't very healthy because the truck is there every other week pumping it, so.
Yeah, no, because it might make sense for, well,
Well, I had approached them about going in on it with me, and they didn't have the money at the time, they did said no.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I don't know whether I'm assuming we own up to here?
No, we do not.
Same thing, Margaret, okay.
It's
'cause-
the same thing, but there was not an easement drawn up then. But, that I can find, but there's nothing in our regulations. Everything in our regulations says if you're going to extend the line, it is borne at the cost of the,
Right.
person that's asking, and it doesn't specifically say that the future maintenance is theirs, but it implies that, and because we've drawn up another easement that way for somebody else, then, that's typically how it works.
Yeah, I would think,
Yeah.
I'm just, if you're gonna explore the possibility of going to a 3-inch line, we might be interested in making sure it's a 6-inch line, at least to here.
Yeah, in case somebody,
Exactly, because
Yeah.
it's just, Payne Myers is right here, and then there's one or two
well,
more.
that's pretty much it.
Pretty close, but it's
You got
quite a ways up
quite
to
a ways
the,
up the hill,
yeah, so that's probably the last one there. But I think there's potentially a lot between these two,
Well, there's the
as I
field.
recall. Right, and isn't,
And
does
then-
that belong to Margaret, that
Well,
field?
there's a field between Margaret's house and Rod and Cynthia's.
Right.
And that's Rod and Cynthia's field.
Oh, it is, okay, I was thinking that was
And
attached to
then
this.
Margaret owns.
This field over here, yeah. Okay. So, what are we
well, you're
approving
approving
tonight? I mean,
you're
are we-
approving the connection and allocation request. And I believe that we should put the condition on it that, the right-of-way is identified, so proper easement documents can be drafted, and that, the highway foreman will look at the road when it's done to make sure that it's back
Up to,
up to where we need it to be.
okay.
Those would be the two things that I would be concerned about. I mean, if the size of the pipe is gonna change at all, I would need to know that, because I've already shown this to
Well,
Joe.
I'll do whatever's in the drawing.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
wanna- I don't wanna complicate it.
Yeah, okay. So,
All right. motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve the application for wastewater allocation and connection for Mark Ziter at 37 Signal Pine Road, on the condition that
Right-of-way.
right-of-way
identified.
is established and verified, and that the road is put back into finished condition. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much.
I'll let
Thank
you
you.
know, when you let me know
I'll
what
call
you find
Michael
out.
and let him take care of the drawings in
Okay.
there, 'cause I
Okay.
do.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night, thanks.
Good night.
Okay, RSG contract modification.
So during that first, it's called phase 2, which is Putney General Store up to Basketville.
Anita's, yeah.
That project during the right-of-way phase went way over budget. They sent me a contract modification of $13,000. And I sent it back to them and said, look, I don't think all of the $13,000 was our fault. I think there was a lot of stuff that happened at RSG that we had a different engineer, there was lots of changes, there was some problems with surveys and using the wrong right-of-way. I said, so I really need to understand what we're paying for. If we're going to give you a contract modification, you need to list the changes. So they came back to me with, if you look in the box above where it says reason for change, these changes were things that after they were done with everything, we came back to them with. After working with landowners and trying to get them to agree to the right-of-way documents that we had. So one of them was the modification, they had to change plans due to two sales of property. They had to revise the drive access when Mountain Paws was there. There was there were some negotiations that went on that the drive access that we had, we could not get the landowner to agree with, so they had to make changes. They had to revise a crosswalk layout based on some things that we asked. Some revisions to Basketville, their driveway layout, and then revisions based on the proposed bridge project that's coming up. So, based on those changes, I felt that that was a fair way for them to recoup some of their costs. It was stuff that we asked them to do that was extra above what their scope was. I've checked with the state. We have money in our right-of-way budget left to cover this. And RSG said that they would wait, once we sign the contract modification, the work is done. So,
But they reduced it from 13 to 6.
13 to 6, yeah.
It's a big difference, 6,
Yeah.
or almost 7.
Yeah. So I felt that this was fair when him and I went back and forth with it, and it was work that they did do that they should get paid for, and there is money, there's some wiggle room in the budget to pay for this, especially since we're not gonna be doing this, the Putney General Store sidewalk side, the bridge project is gonna pick that cost up.
Oh, there? Okay.
Yeah. So, and that was one of the things that they had to do, was they had to create a drawing based on some temporary markings and stuff for that section, so that they originally wanted to put the sidewalk in and then tear it out. And I was like, that just seems so ridiculous to me. So,
It's the nature of the beast,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
so if you guys agree, then if you can vote to accept this contract modification, and I can get that to them. We're almost at the point where they're almost finished with the construction documents and the bid documents to get that section out to bid in January or February. So,
So moved?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the contract modification from RSG as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Speed limit change, Westminster Road.
I just wanted,
Westminster West Road.
We're in the,
Which, wait, now, it's not at,
not, it's Westminster Road.
technically, I don't think it, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, I don't think it
I
is.
got a little
Westminster
crazy with
West
my
Road.
Westminster West stuff.
It always has
Will
been.
always be.
Exactly. It's just not called.
What did Route 5 become? If it like-
I just wanted to let you know that we were writing, we're trying to come up with the language of how to describe that section that we're changing it from 40 to 30. But one of the questions you guys had for me last time is how much our road signs, what would the cost be? It's like $300.
Oh.
So, I just wanted to make sure that you thought that we should go ahead and do that change. I think we should, but.
And we still have notification period and stuff?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay.
So at the next meeting, once we have to, we're trying to figure out how we describe that section, you know, when we put it in the ordinance, so.
And Brian looked at it and figured out, is that Brian who came up with that?
With the 300?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he looked at it and figured out what sign should be where, essentially.
Josh had come in the next day and
Okay.
him and I figured out, and then I told Brian what we
Okay.
would need.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead with that unless anybody thinks that we shouldn't. Because we have to bring it to you, you approve it, and then we have to post it, yeah.
No, I've been paying attention to it now that, as we, it makes a world of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that, with that whole hillock thing there, it's just a bad location to have people flying in there.
Okay, and $300 didn't
It's
seem like a
pretty
big,
reasonable,
yeah.
yeah. All right, good. Public safety meeting prep.
So tomorrow night is the public safety meeting, the public one, at 6:30 at the fire station. And in your packet, there is an agenda that this public safety committee came up with as just a guideline. It's not gonna be a 1, 2, 3, we're gonna go down each item, but just a guideline of what we wanna kind of cover tomorrow night. I don't know who wants to speak when we're there, but I guess we'll wing it. I don't mind doing some of the, I think a lot of it's gonna be them speaking to us about what they've thought about and all. I mean, I don't even know
Them being
the audience.
the public.
Yeah. I mean, there really isn't much new to tell them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the state police are not offering us a contract anymore.
Yeah.
The Wyndham County Sheriff, he will be there, Keith will be there. I don't know if Lieutenant Oliver's gonna be there or someone from state
Yes,
police.
maybe.
I hope so, because I think there's gonna be a lot of questions about the break-ins. So, does anybody have, I don't know who's gonna run the meeting. You?
I haven't been involved in the discussion. I
Yeah.
mean, I can if you want me to.
Well, I think the first part.
But I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think the first
so-
part is kind of just giving, if you don't mind doing that part and just giving a brief, because if there's people there that were not there at the last meeting, they won't know the history and why we're here and what we're doing. So just a brief past, what we've done in the past, what we're doing now, and, you know, the biggest decision we need to make is what are we gonna do in December? You know, will we just re-sign the contract with the sheriff's department?
Because that's when our contract
That's
is
when our
up.
contract is
Right.
up. So if you don't mind doing that, I don't mind talking about the next, I think that I can summarize that next section pretty easily. That seems pretty.
Yeah, I think so. I think Lawrence too.
He's not gonna be there.
Oh, he's not. That's
No.
right. That's right. Okay.
So I don't mind doing that part if you don't mind just kind of,
I'll try chiming in.
okay.
If I can talk.
If you can talk.
I did put in there too, the new rates from the sheriff's department.
Okay.
So,
Which are what, based on hourly or?
well,
That's on there.
$70,000 for 2,000
Yeah.
hours, 47,000 for 1,000 hours,
Okay.
and then 51 per hour for anything less than 1,000. And then anywhere in between, he's willing to talk.
So there's a lot of economy of scale in going from 1,000 to 2, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I did draft, I am gonna bring tomorrow night a draft budget that we came up with for the municipal department, so people can see that.
Now, what about data on just the data that there
Yeah,
were lots
I'll
of
print
requests
that.
about, just
I have that.
so we have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got copies of that too, and also the
Okay.
Okay.
I'll get the,
qualitative.
I kind of forgot about that, so I'll get that.
I mean, that's a question I had. Should we print up any of the, more of the qualitative data that we got from Alyssa? About what some of the stuff that she does, or has done?
We can. Did she send that in an email?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll ask her how she feels about that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I can do that.
that's sort of descriptive
Yeah.
of her role.
Yeah, it's stuff that isn't necessarily
It's not a call.
things
It
that
wouldn't be on
wouldn't
a
show
call
up,
sheet
like,
or a.
Right.
wellness check.
Went back to visit so-and-so,
Right.
yeah.
stuff like
I
that.
also did get a copy of the grant that Keith wrote back.
Initially,
Yeah, initially, which somebody had asked about it, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, and because we're trying to come up with what this description was of community policing, and we said, well, you must have put it in the grant. It's really like a few pages of, there's not like a definition. It's kind of, but I did get that from him, so I can bring that too. But
okay. And,
I think we all pretty
probably-
much know what community policing is at this point. It's whether we want to pay for it or not.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
I think that, basically having a compiled file of that information
Yeah.
available to anybody who wants to
Yeah.
sort of pour over it is what we should have.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily stuff everybody wants to or needs to know, but as long
Right.
as they can access it, then
Right, and the
then
people that
that's what
signed
we-
up for email have been getting it.
Yeah,
It is on our website too, so I'll have copies there for people. It would be helpful if by the end of that meeting, we may not have a vote or something, but at least have a sense of what we want to do for the next 6 months. If people really think it's worth still spending the money on having a part-time person here, or do they not? I don't know. I think that if
we didn't, then we wouldn't have anything per se.
Right.
I don't know.
it'll be interesting to see, because I don't know how much interaction a lot of these people that have been having their house broken into I think their interaction has been with state police.
Right.
So I don't know if they'll feel, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see.
And I don't know whether you're on that email
Yeah.
list, but, that last one that came up, I can't remember who asked who, but, had they been coming in and doing fingerprinting and so on? I just don't think they do that kind of thing
Yeah,
for
I don't
stuff
know.
of this scale. That's my sense.
Yeah.
But maybe we can clarify that a little bit more.
I hope that somebody from the state police is there.
Or even Wyndham County,
Yeah.
Hey, when you guys do break-ins, do you dust for prints? Do you,
Yeah.
take imprints of tire tracks? Do you do all the stuff that we see on TV that we
That we
think you
think-
should be doing?
Yeah.
My guess is no, because
I
it's
think-
just too expensive and time consuming. And the potential payback from it is probably not great, so. But I can understand why people are asking, so,
Yeah, me too.
all right.
Agenda. Did you take my agenda? No, that's all right, I don't need it. I'm losing papers while I'm sitting here.
Okay, anything more on public
I don't have
safety
anything
meeting?
more. I think,
I think it's just gonna kind of run itself, so to speak.
I agree.
Yeah.
New FLSA regulations, salary employees, salary increase.
So I had mentioned this a while ago, that as of December 1st, there has been a ruling.
Do we have a handout on this? No.
No.
Okay.
There's been a ruling that anyone that is paid as a salary employee needs to earn a minimum of $913 per week. There's a new, it's not entirely new because we've been following it right along, but there's a question tree that you have to kind of answer the questions to make sure the people you're paying salary to fall within this, within the ability to be paid salary. They just don't want you to put everybody on salary, and there's certain rules that you have to follow in order to have somebody on salary. And both of our employees that are on salary that are affected by this fit that category. It's the fire chief and the highway foreman. So this is in effect December 1st. It's not something we can say no to. There's a couple ways you can accomplish it. You can put people back on hourly and pay them overtime, or you have to increase their minimum up to the $9.13 a week.
So $9.13 a week, does that include benefits package and stuff like that, or not? That's just
That's wages.
take home,
That's
well, not
wages.
take home, but
Yeah,
that's
gross wages.
gross, okay.
Yeah.
And how close to that $9.13?
We are $76.60 off per week.
For both of them?
Yeah, they get paid the exact same.
And the rest of the
amount.
highway guys are not salaried? Is that how
No,
that works?
they're not.
Their time and, yeah.
Yeah, so I've talked to both of them about it. I mean, I think it would be difficult to put Tom on hourly. I
Right.
mean, it's,
Potentially very expensive.
yeah, potentially very expensive. Also with Brian, it's potentially very expensive.
yeah.
He does a lot of the calls that, the couple hours here and there, and then plus all the winter stuff. So I think that the best thing for us to do is to increase their salary to $9.13 a week. They both understand that
We would expect a lot more out of them.
they both understand that as of July 1st, they will not also get
Right.
The cost of living.
It would be regular, it would be,
Right.
yeah, however.
So that pay would stay that through July of 2018. The other thing that we do with them right now, and I've talked to Brian about it, but I haven't talked to Tom, is that we pay them for unused comp time.
Right.
I think that with this, I think that we should either create a policy that anybody that is salary gets comp time and gets paid if they don't use it, or we should just do away with the paid if you need to use it or you lose it. Brian is fine with that. I mean, what their salary is going up to is actually more than what they would get with their regular wages plus their comp time anyway. So
what does that reflect? $76 a week?
it is,
That's 5. What does that, what's on an annual basis? What are we talking about?
that's the one calculation I didn't do on this sheet of paper.
3,000.
Yeah, 30, almost 4,000. It's a 5% increase.
That's a substantial raise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for this year, what that means is that in order to cover this increase, we would need to take some money from another line item, I think, so that we don't, I did the calculation out, and for the last 7 months of the fiscal year, for each of them, it's about $2,450. And we can take money in the general fund budget. There's $6,000 in town hall maintenance, which I don't think we need all of that because we've got money from the capital fund to do some of the town hall renovations. That was voted on at last town meeting. So we could take that from there, and then in the highway fund, we could take it from contracted services. But I would prefer that we take it from somewhere so that we don't forget that there's
That it
this, yeah.
And then we need to, well, obviously you're already working on this, but include it in the budget going forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only question in my mind for the budget going forward is that comp time payout. I've taken
Right.
it out
Right.
now, but I need to have that conversation with Tom and see how but it's a substantial raise that they're getting.
Yeah, and what is the value of that comp time payout roughly,
Well,
do you know?
Well, 913 times 2, so 18,
Oh, it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks, 80 hours.
So it's still significantly less than this
Yeah.
reflects,
Yeah.
okay.
You know, and they're getting to the point, and I know they probably will never use all of their comp time. But it's getting to the point, especially with Brian, that he is feeling like he can take more time than he could before.
Right,
You know, before he was feeling a little bit like
he couldn't walk away.
he couldn't walk away,
Yeah.
and with the group that they have, he's feeling much more confident about that. And I want to say that I think Tom's starting to feel that way a little bit too.
Yeah.
So,
No, and in fact, there's probably some value in doing that.
Yeah.
Because it will encourage them to use that time.
yeah.
Which is not a bad thing, you know?
No, I don't think so either. So, and we had said when we started the comp time payout, we had said that this isn't a given forever.
Right,
This is
right.
kind of something we're doing because we know you guys are working a lot of extra hours and not being compensated for it, but
Yeah,
that we
no,
need
and
to
I
start
think-
building towards a way for you to take some time.
And I think if it were an even trade,
Yeah.
then we'd have to think about it a little bit harder, but given that it's more than double
Yeah.
the increase, then I don't think
So,
that's unreasonable. Plus, they still get the time, they just have to take it.
yeah. Yeah, we're not saying you can't have the time.
Right.
It's just, you know, it's not. So, unless we want to put them at an hourly, I don't think we really have much choice.
And everybody else is hourly.
I'm salary,
Right,
Anita's
no, I know,
salary.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But otherwise, and
Otherwise-
library, all hourly?
They're all
or
hourly.
Emily?
Oh.
Emily's
is she
salary?
over the,
Emily's salary and she does get comp time.
but is she,
I think she's
She's over, I think.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, I guess I'll have to ask them that.
No, she's not.
I forget about them because I don't do their payroll ever, I don't have anything to do with it,
She's
but I,
not, but it's based on 35, so yeah, I don't know how that works
You
into
should
it.
just make sure it's
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
they may want to switch her to hourly. She may, it's like me, it's a
They-
position that I don't have a ton of
What, the
overtime.
library board would decide that?
Yeah.
They would?
They decide all
Okay.
their salary, yeah, so I'll call her
Okay,
tomorrow.
yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I would have totally.
Can you explain again why that minimum has been set? Was there a particular reason?
Well, they're trying, it's like raising the minimum wage for people.
Exactly.
Oh, I
But
see.
it's, they're trying to get employers, first of all, to classify people correctly as a salary employee.
Yeah.
And there's serious ramifications now if they don't. Like me
Right.
as a supervisor, I can be personally responsible if we don't classify somebody correctly.
I see.
So that was one part of it. And the second part of it is to raise the wages
Right.
of salary employees so they weren't working 80 hours a week and being compensated, $500 a week.
I know the feeling.
That
That's
was
the premise.
the basic
Yeah.
logic behind it, was
Yeah.
that it would force an increase in salary for people who were in a gray area there, and create penalty if that's
If
not
people
met.
were putting
So,
them, into a salary position when it really didn't qualify to be a salary
Exactly,
position.
yeah,
There's certain criteria, you have to be in a supervisor level position, it's an administrative
Right.
position, so, and we did go through that process with both of them and felt that, they definitely fell in it, but,
And this is the state,
Federal.
this is federal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay,
yeah.
great, thanks.
and the cutoff is what, it's like 47,000 a year?
Yeah, it's 40,476, that's what.
40, what?
47,476, yeah.
All right,
So, you could just. So moved, I don't know how you wanna say that.
So moved.
Yes. I'll second.
Construct that sentence as.
so it's been moved and seconded to increase salary for both, the fire chief and the
Criteria for.
highway superintendent to meet the new FLSA regulation salary minimum.
Yeah, and can you put in there that we will take money from town hall maintenance to cover fire chief? Are you getting this, Laura? And the contracted services to cover highway foreman in the amount of $2,450. Nothing like me making up the motion, huh?
2,450,
That's for this fiscal year.
but for each of them.
Yes.
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 If there's no further discussion.
Right.
Right, for the seven, up through June 30th. Yeah. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. All right. Town manager?
So I am in the process of preparing the budget, and I just wanted to give you guys some heads up to just think about what it is that I'm doing. Right now, I'm creating 2 separate budgets. One where everything stays the same, and one with a reconstructed financial office, town clerk office structure if Anita retires. So her and I have talked about it a little bit. I haven't told her what my plan is, but just giving that some thought over the next few weeks, if you have any ideas of how that. So right now I'm in the middle of constructing 2 separate budgets that I'm hoping at the next meeting we can look at the 2 budgets. They'll be very much preliminary, but trying to really focus on which way. I'll invite Anita to the meeting, and maybe we'll, she'll have give us some direction on what she's thinking, but because I hate to create 2 budgets for a whole month. I'd like to try to find a direction. The one budget that I'm creating with a reconstructed finance
What do you mean
office.
for a whole month, sorry?
Well, as we're going through the budget cycle. I know,
You'd like to rule one of them out, I
Yeah,
see what you're saying.
exactly. The reconstruction of the town clerk treasurer's office, even if she doesn't retire, we could go with that.
Right.
So that's an option too. The other thing that is in the discussion process with Brian is adding a 6th highway worker. And it would be part-time for him, and then like 10 hours a week to do building maintenance stuff. Right now, Laura and I are doing recycling, trash, shoveling walkways if Eric's not around. I'm talking to Brian about the possibility of that person doing the mowings at town buildings, not cemetery, that's too big, but when I gotta have somebody paint up to the pool, paint freshen things up. Yeah, it's really becoming difficult to find people to do these smaller jobs. And if we had somebody on staff that I could say, hey, can you go up and.
Here's the list
Yeah.
of stuff that
Yeah.
needs to be done this week.
So that's something else that's in the works. I'm looking into new email service and web service for web design. Oh God, there was so many other things we were talking about the other day. So there's a lot in this budget that is going on. The major one is making that decision of which, like you said, let's rule one of these out.
What model
Yeah.
works.
Because right now I'm going back between
Now,
2
we
trying to
can't
update.
really make that decision until we know for sure whether no, you said that we could make it.
Yeah, there's a possibility. I want to talk to them about what my thoughts are first with that, and get their feedback and adjust it.
Them being the
clerk's office, yeah. And get their feedback, but the next meeting, it would be good if we could. So I'll try to send it to you before, and just kind of give you the narrative that goes with it so that you can understand what the difference is between the 2. So that was basically, that kind of leads into, we need to discuss the meeting time because the 23rd is the night before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I'm
You
thinking
got a problem with it?
No, I probably won't be here, so.
So no, you wouldn't have a problem with it? We've been on the 24th.
I mean, if you guys want to do it that day, that's fine. I'll leave the paper.
Do we need?
I think we can go to the 30th.
The following week.
Yeah.
That
Is that
sounds good to me.
okay? I mean, because then we're into almost weekly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm thinking, is take a little breather before we
Yeah.
go full on.
All right, so we'll change that to the 30th.
I know that's gonna be heartbreaking for Scott, but
I know, it's.
you can come and hang out there.
Right, no, I think we'll be on the road.
Oh, will you?
I think we'll be on
Good.
the children's.
All right. Financial report.
There's a copy of the highway financial report and there's a copy of the general fund. The only thing I want to point out in the highway is that there's a $274,000 contracted services expense. That's offset by the $175 that we got in. So when you see that, it's on page 2. The net result was that we spent $99,744
For paving.
for paving, which was a little bit under budget. So that was kind of the obvious one that jumped out at me when I was
Do
looking
you
at
have that on here? What did we budget for it?
100,000.
Oh, so it wasn't much under budget.
It was under. Hey, under is under.
Exactly. It's better than over, right?
Yeah. And then the general fund, there wasn't anything that things are as expected. I think the meeting for Wyndham Solid Waste is tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Did you read that email from Dan?
Yeah.
I didn't read all of it yet, but
I haven't seen it.
it sounds like, was the gist of it that it seemed like they were gonna vote to not have the?
I didn't get that far through it.
Okay.
Yeah, when I started scanning it.
So this Hickory Ridge Road
Yeah.
project line item is presumably, we're gonna get reimbursed
Yes.
all of that? Or
No,
not the
it's-
15,
It's
but
90.
90?
90% we get reimbursed. Is it 10 that we
Oh,
pay?
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we budgeted, did we budget 15?
Well, we have 15 for
Yeah,
it, so
yeah,
it's 10%, we figured on.
yeah, and though, that one should be, that's all done. We're waiting for one more bill, so we should be able to get reimbursed, and then you'll see over on the revenue side, that reimbursement come in.
Looks good.
Yeah, I haven't been up there.
Yeah, no, it does look good. It's huge.
And
But,
that water's gonna be able to flow right through that thing?
I mean, you can't tell from above really,
Yeah.
except for the new railing, et cetera, but man, that's a monster of a culvert for a stream that size, but.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that it follows the road down and then essentially does a right angle across, so I think it just needs to be sized so that it can sort of
Make that
take
turn.
that,
Yeah.
exactly, take that abuse
Yeah.
right in the corner there, but the thing is, it's big. But, looks good, definitely.
Good.
All right, anybody else have anything else?
The warrants are there. While you're signing those, I can tell you, we went up and walked on Matt Hendricks, the donated land property
Oh,
today.
right.
I learned a lot about trees today. It was really interesting.
He's an interesting
yeah,
guy.
he was
Yeah.
really good. He did a lot of math up in the woods that I said to him, I don't use that kind of math in my job, so, but it was interesting.
He knows a lot of.
It was,
Yeah,
what was amazing about, that I learned about the property is that closer to Route 5, those trees are beautiful, they're big,
yeah,
but that's where they logged at one time.
right.
And the further you go up, it's just a lot
Straggles,
of, yeah, so, he suggested that, he told us about a grant, and Carrie went as well, and he told us about a grant that it possibly will be available for writing up a plan, a forestry plan, and mapping it, and, so he's gonna get me that information. Landmark College students have been up there, and they've been looking at everything, they're not inventorying one specific thing, but they're And they're doing a presentation to the Conservation Committee at the end of November. So it'll be interesting to see what they learned up there. And he also suggested that at town meeting, I can't remember what town he told me did this, maybe Dover, they had a piece of land similar to that, and they did a questionnaire at town meeting saying, what would you like to do, and give some options, and then another spot. So that's something we'll draft for town meeting. So, I mean, we were up there for 2 hours, I think, today. It was nice.
Is it raining then?
If it was a little bit, but if it was, I wasn't noticing it because it was so covered with,
Oh, with all the vegetation.
yeah. It was good.
All right.
You can put those back in that box.
Well, unless anybody else has anything else.
Did you get the blue one?
Yeah.
Steve got it too? Did we-
Yes.
I think he did. Didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big warrant.
That's a biggie.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right, good.
How was that for quick?